Good evening, Dandies. Welcome to Undetermined, the podcast.
It's a pleasure to have you both here. I am deeply honored. Welcome to Undetermined, the podcast. We have Tom Flynn, Mia Dean of Antler Family. I really dig this record. I dig the concept behind the record.
It's a lot of fun.
It is fun and it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. And I like and I guess it's kind of hard to get to research a lot on it. But from what I understand, it's kind of a conceptual thing that has to do with like folklore or sea shanties or some of my like favorite shit in the world. So do you want to go into that or talk about that aspect of the record?
It can't get
kind
too
of a
weird
loose concept, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's definitely got like a, like a backwoods kind of American, just like, kind of like the darker old side of America. And, and just like, I don't know, just like it's got like the woods and wilderness and like spirits and, a lot of us came from other, our ancestors came from other places. So, like mine, for instance, came on a ship in like 16, like it was just like a few ships after the Mayflower called, called the True Love. And like, I think it was like 1638 or something.
There was a ship called the True Love?
Yeah, it was called the True Love.
I never heard about this.
That's so fascinating. Like people are able to actually still get that kind of information. Yeah. I want to know more about that. I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I mean, you're good. I mean, you can actually date my family back to California to the 1850s and in the United States to the, mid 1600s. And, they've been here a long time. But, on my dad's side, on my mom's side, they were more like recent Eastern European immigrants pre-World War II. But, everybody traveled for the most part. Most of us traveled to get here, to be here. And it cost a lot. It cost people and families.
Sure.
Many people, including obviously the people that were already here, especially. But, just trying to like tap into that vibe of like that, like vast open spaces, the wild unknown, and just kind of trying to figure out the language of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that appeals to it. Well, Matt and I actually met down in southern Missouri in the Ozarks. Yeah. So, growing up there, just a lot of tradition, a lot of myth. And it is the wild. I mean, you've got the Mark Twain Forest down there. It's
right.
Yeah, it's nowhere. But as a result, it does kind of feel like a mythical place. But that's really interesting. I couldn't track my family that far back. I know we're like Scandinavian Irish bog people, who are really poor. And so we just kind of came and settled into Appalachia and dug in the mud all day for money, I guess. Not a lot of famous people in my family.
Yeah, I don't know much about my back even any farther than my grandparents. I don't know what's back from there.
Yeah.
People from Ireland and Germany, that's all I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like I think a lot of those people, they're pretty stoic about sharing like where they came from or what their background. And I can understand that. Like you want to make a new beginning, you don't want to hear about that shit that happened back then. Right.
Oh, right. Yeah. Some of it's problematic.
Right.
That's for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. But I feel really, I don't know. I feel somehow really tapped into just the history and the people that came before me. And like, just, I've tried really hard to like imagine their journeys and their lives. And it's interesting because, you know, people came here for multiple reasons. People came here because they were criminals. People came here because they were religiously persecuted. I think in the case of my family, it's pretty much they came here for freedom of religion, which is, you know, such a bummer, really, because you're like, where's the criminals? You know? But it's not as interesting. But, you know, it is too.
Yeah.
But then you just look and you're like, wow, it's probably like hundreds of years of like Puritans, basically.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. In my family, the criminals definitely came later. There's
we know
plenty of them.
about.
Though. Yeah, plenty of them.
Homegrown criminals.
Plenty of bloodletters.
Can you guys hear the cows? They're like going crazy.
Yeah, I kind of love it. Actually.
I love it. Yeah. It's great. It's an extra guest, you know.
They're separated from their mamas. The mamas are going for the babies because the babies are going to get castrated tomorrow.
Oh, no.
Are you going to do it?
I will be a part of this situation.
Wow.
God, well, here's to that. I mean,
I think they're getting branded too. It's a branded castration.
Wow.
I mean, I understand it needs to be done.
For babies.
Yeah. And they have no idea.
No
idea.
No.
Happy Easter, cow.
Happy Easter.
The moms know, though. That's why they're mooing.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Losing their eggs.
Have either of you gone so far as to do like the the DNA test, like the 23andMe's or because I know DNA can like differ from genealogy for sure. Right. You know, where your blood goes to.
Yeah, I did it. I did it, but it was nothing surprising. It was, you know, European, basically. And, English, Irish, German. Actually, there was, you know, whatever the 3% Neanderthal or whatever that was.
Right.
That was interesting, but it was nothing surprising.
Yeah. I didn't get a Neanderthal percentage. I did get one of those like 2% Nigerian percentages.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my whole thing was just like white people, you know, just like up in that area. But the funny thing is, I thought about mine, and my son just pointed this out last time he looked at it. He's like, look at this. When it gets to England, it goes, whoop, no thanks. So they won't claim me.
No England?
No England. Like not at all.
The Irish. That's weird.
Irish. Well, you know, some Welsh, I think, in there. And, you know, and then it goes up to Germany and Scandinavia and everywhere. But, yeah.
I haven't done it. I've heard that for women that you only get half the story. And I don't have any full-blooded brothers. I have like half brothers. So my dad won't do it because he's afraid he might have some illegitimate kids.
Yeah. It'll link you to that stuff too.
My uncle did it on my mom's side, and there was like a few surprises. One, I think we always thought we were Dutch. We were not Dutch.
Mm-hmm.
We found out we were a little bit Turkish. I mean, on that side, it's like Hungarian, Polish. And then we found out we were Turkish and Iberian also. So those were like the surprises. And then it's Norwegian. It's like my uncle's a quarter Norwegian too. So, so that was interesting. But I can't get this side. This side's a little more like right wing over here on this side of my family.
Oh yeah.
And it's just what it is. But they're skeptical and won't do it. So if I can find I would do it, but again, I don't think I'll get my dad's side of the family. So I already know what my mom's is.
Yeah. Yeah. That's something like mitochondrial or something DNA. Yeah. I remember that it's, unless you have like a brother or a male, it's, Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got my brother, I told him, he's like, I don't know if that's mine. I was like, dude, I said, we have the same parents. It's got to be the same. Unless there's something that I don't, Oh, Matt, I feel like I'm hogging the conversation.
No, we're good. I'm just enjoying. I like hearing about people's backgrounds and history. I find that stuff really fascinating. And I always think about, how quickly we lose track of like how far back we go, right? Like in a couple of generations, if I happen to have grandkids or great grandkids, they won't know who the fuck I am.
No. I barely know who you are.
Exactly.
I've known you for 30 years.
My kid's ready to get rid of me already. So
It's sort of like when
I get 15.
when
I
you're
got a
younger, you don't
14-year-old.
care that much
Yeah.
about your past, and then by the time you get older, when you care, the people who you can ask about it are already dead. So that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. That's really true. So, and then there's like, in the case of like my great grandma was alive until I was 30 on my mom's side, and she was like, her parents were Jewish from Poland and Hungary, and she was a Rosie the Riveter in World War II.
Right on.
But apart from that, her husband was in the service. I don't know. It's very mysterious. He was somehow either in the service or in jail in Alaska. I don't exactly know, but she had to put her kids in the Jewish orphanage during World War II. And so she would and it wasn't like they were up for adoption. It was like they lived there, and she would go see them on the weekends and go work in the harbor on the week, and she just couldn't afford to keep them. So she was so private. There was like so much trauma related to like her husband potentially having left her, not being able to care for the kids. When the family like reunited, like she would never talk about it. Like even if you asked, like it was like forbidden information. And so that's where we have to, including like medical information. Like I found out she had breast cancer like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, I've been telling my doctor that there's no family history of breast cancer because you guys don't talk about this. So it's really important to talk about the things that happen to our bodies. It's important to our children. It's important to our siblings and each other, and obviously, it's time to be more open about these things and try to like preserve your history. And
but it is true. I was just thinking about, John, you'll know what I'm talking about, but in our hometown, there was this massive explosion in like what was it?
28, was it?
Yeah, something like that. Like a dance hall explosion, and it made like national news and everything. But like the people that survived it, like you could barely get anything out of them, right? They didn't want to talk about it. There were a couple that would talk about it, but as a result, there's not like as much information as you would think there would be about it. But it's a really fascinating story.
Yeah, and it's not so much that they were like, a conspiracy theory. They were hiding something. It's just like, let's move on from the past, and we don't need to know, and it was just probably the most hugely significant thing that happened in that town.
Well, I heard like that whole flu in 1918 or whenever that was, that people just didn't talk about it afterwards very much at all. Like, millions died.
It would have probably done us some good if people had talked about it a little bit more in the last few years.
We never heard about it till 2020.
Right.
Exactly.
What? You guys did this 100 years ago and you didn't tell us nothing? Yeah, that's what it felt like. But speaking of which, that's right around the time the album came out. Or got recorded.
Nice tie-in. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to relive any trauma there, though.
That's when the album should have come out, but
yeah,
the album came out actually in January, just now. So, but it was already made.
It was recorded. Yeah.
Recorded. Yeah. Yeah. It's a weird time. Still a weird time.
Yeah. We kind of thought it was never going to come out. It was almost like, okay, what do we do with that now? So can't play shows or.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, the pandemic was sort of a blessing for us with the podcast because everybody was home.
Yeah.
Nobody's touring, anything else like that. But then in another way, it was like half the interviews are like really dark. And everybody's terrified and they don't know what's going to happen. And, we're just trying to keep our shit together. But we got a lot of good guests.
You did.
Yeah. So how did you all come together?
Yeah.
To form this, to come up with this group. It's a lot, a little bit different from what you typically record, I guess, Tom.
Yeah, well, I was not in any band at the time. I mean, I just broken up with one band, and then Mia asked someone else, who could she play with, and he suggested me, and so we got together, and I knew her already a little bit anyway, and it all kind of we just started. It was kind of a gradual thing where we just started playing together, and then her husband joined in, and we got a drummer to come in, and it was a thing over a bunch of years where it slowly the pieces came to into place.
Start craving Brad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From Hellbillies. Yeah, I love Hellbillies. Yep.
We tried a couple drummers out before we tried out Chio from Newthgrush and Vadim from Gamera, Secret Order of Tusk, and 90s stoner band.
Mm-hmm.
And but it nothing really was quite right. And then Tom had been playing with Brad before, and so he came in and kind of finished off the band. But yeah, I don't know. It was fun. We both, Tom, Flynn, and me separately had kind of young kids at the time, so there was like kids running around. Tom would bring his son, and we would play. We like to practice at like really reasonable hours, like Saturday afternoon at 1.
Right.
And there would be just like kids running around and like being crazy and interrupting us. So it's kind of like a real slow process because there was a lot of interference, but it was also kind of like this cool family vibe but it was, just really easy and mellow. Sometimes I feel like, I came a courting Tom and like brought him over to my house and like, do you play with me?
Yeah. We're familiar with the phrase. We're from the Ozarks.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So we would just like stand in my living room and like play our guitars and sing and just like try to write some songs together, and then it just like seemed like it, we could do it. So we brought the other people in.
Yeah. So your background's in opera as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I do have a long opera background, and I was studying opera with really amazing people, and all over the world, and so I come like out of a bel canto legacy, family legacy. So I can actually, talking about like genealogy, but in opera I can trace back my genealogy to like the founder of the bel canto opera technique.
Wow,
and
that's cool.
Manuel Garcia, and I always loved singing and acting and just music, but eventually after like a decade, I decided that I really just wanted to, I'd learned enough, I'd done enough. I just wanted to be able to like write my own words and sing how I wanted to sing. Opera, you're singing like exactly the same.
Right.
Everybody's been singing this one thing, as far as it's been around. Like it's like preserving it, and I just wanted. I was just got tired of people telling me what to do all the time.
Yeah.
This is Mia's kind of first real rock band, I guess.
Yeah,
that's true.
Right
was
on.
it scary to make that switch?
Yeah, well, I really tried it. So, after I quit singing opera, I started playing guitar, and I like took my dad's Telecaster, and I moved to San Francisco, and I just started like playing guitar, trying to learn guitar, and trying to learn how to write songs. And so I also just really lacked confidence, I think, in like my ability to do these things. And also I think that I thought that people knew more like what they were doing. I like when I looked at bands, I thought that they really knew what they were doing, and the truth is nobody really does. Like you're just doing it. And so, and also just like trying to play in like the early 2000s, it was really hard to like getting anyone to really play with me because I think it's because I was a girl, and it just like, bands are at that time were just mostly, not entirely, but mostly just guys playing together. So it wasn't like I just I tried a couple things, they didn't really work out, but also just like it's kind of like that guy mentality. You're just like, I'm just gonna go do this. And like I picked up a guitar and I just joined a band,
Right.
And I thought you had to work because I worked really hard at opera, so I thought you had to like work harder.
Yeah. No, necessarily.
It's differently though.
You didn't know that everyone's
Definitely
just
working
faking it.
differently.
I didn't know everyone was faking it.
Yeah. Being part of the dude club definitely would have helped back then. I mean, there was a lot of misogyny going on. Especially, I think it's getting a little better. I hope it is.
I think it is. I think it is for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious, like, what do backstage opera stories? How do they differ from backstage rock show?
Oh my god,
stories?
So boring.
Or how much are they alike?
So boring. Opera singers are like, I need my lemon tea with my honey, and like it's kind of cold in here, and like,
Right.
And then like it's really much more fussy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a lot more fun hanging out backstage at the rock show.
At the rock show.
Yeah,
Always.
definitely.
So Tom and I really don't want to bombard you with a bunch of questions about Fang or Boner Records or any, because I know you've told those stories a billion goddamn times, but it is a juxtaposition. It is strange for those who don't know. Tom's in Fang. I mean, you work with Melvins, you work with a lot of like extreme noise groups and stuff. Pioneer like grunge music, I would even say as well.
Sure.
So was there any difficulty in making that decision to be like, boy, I'm going to get a melodic singer for this, and we're going to, because that was even a big jump for you. We talked about this a little.
No, it wasn't. I mean, no, I was happy to do something a little different. I mean, it's not that different than what I'd been doing the last few years, really. And I mean, I'd been in a band, Star Pimp, who had female singer as well.
Okay.
Although it was a little bit, it was a little bit more chaotic in general. Yeah. But yeah, I was kind of into doing something that had some nice sort of vocals you could actually follow with kind of harsh music underneath it, instead of being the vocals are harsh, just like the music is harsh. I wanted something that you could follow vocally, and melody and whatever. And
right.
So it wasn't, to me, it didn't really feel that different than anything I'd been up to. I mean, it was different than Fang, obviously, but that had been 30 years previous. So that was much different. It was still heavy punk rock, just like, anything else.
Yeah, and that's just the thing. It's such a good mix up of both. You've got tracks that are just very melodic and very pretty, and then the next ones will just, they're really rocking tracks. I dig it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, they are loud and live. There's definitely an element of chaos to the sound. It's like hard. The singing is challenging because the music's so loud, and that's like, but that's like what's fun for me about it is kind of like the struggle,
Yeah.
But I
finding the balance.
Yeah. And also the interesting thing is that for the first time since I quit opera in this band, I had to really figure out I had to like tap back into all my opera training, because I had to figure out how to get my voice to, even though it's amplified, but like how to get it to carry, but also not to like suffer any pain.
Yeah.
So it was cool because it all kind of tied back in.
Yeah.
Together.
Yeah. The nodules are real. You got to watch those. Absolutely.
So now I warm up and vocally warm up, and
Mhm.
like I have this series of weird little steps that I do, like to mentally to get my voice like ready to do it. And so far so good.
Demand your tea with lemon. And
No, I will bring some in a thermos if I need it, and not every time, but if I'm like a multiple beverage person. I'm really like water, and then like a hot water with some lemon and honey, and then like maybe also like a San Pellegrino. Like I'm like always juggling 3 drinks. But
Yeah, I was just doing vocal warm ups before the show, but I was just doing them to make Matt laugh. So. The red leather, yellow leather, red leather. Right on. So you have played then a few shows live. Have you transposed this to live? Any plans of taking it on the road any further than Cali? And
yeah,
well, we'd like to. It's just get everyone's schedule together, and hopefully this LP will help people in other places know who we are. We played around in Oakland and San Francisco, but never journeyed anywhere because it's just difficult to do.
Yeah.
So hopefully this will help in that aspect, and we'll be able to venture out.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I'm ready to do like a little West Coast, like a Portland, Seattle, LA would be probably our first step out. But we've only played one show back since we've been like since the pandemic, we recently in October. So we were supposed to play today actually with Torpedo, but they didn't get their visas. So
shit.
I got canceled, but soon. And then I think, maybe hopefully this summer we can like do a few dates up and down West Coast and see what happens.
Cool.
But we played a lot before the pandemic. We played, all the time. And with a lot of really awesome bands. And our last show before lockdown, we opened for the Obsessed.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And then that was it.
I do love the Obsessed, though. They've got a great cover of The Hunt by Leonard Skinner. It's like one of my favorite covers I've ever heard. It's just really slow and dirty. It's awesome. Yeah. Well, hopefully. And now, what's the best way to buy the record? Your merch, anything like that? Like Bandcamp, is that the go-to? Probably
that's the best way. Bandcamp would be your cheapest option, and we also have shirts and stuff there. And but it's available, other places. There's midheaven.com. There's Forced Exposure. There's even Amazon or Walmart. Who knows? But the best place is probably through us directly at Bandcamp.
Okay. Right on. Yeah. I've got to look at your merch. We did buy the records, so I encourage. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And we also need a bumper from the shows. Yeah. But usually, if I just need a bumper, I'll buy like one song. But I like the whole record, so we bought the whole record.
It's a good record.
That's excellent. So yes, and I encourage every other listener, every other dandy who listens to our show to buy the album. Please check it out on Bandcamp. You can listen to it as much as you want before you buy it, but don't be a cheapskate. It's not that expensive. It's like, less than a beer and a half at like a ballpark. So get it.
That's a great currency. How many beers at a ballpark?
How many Cardinals or how many A's beers would this cost? Yeah, it's not much. Just look at your tab from Friday night and tell me you can't afford that record.
The vinyl looks great. Like I'm really
proud of it.
It's got it honestly it's just really classic and not like old. It just looks kind of old, Mm-hmm. I'm not like it doesn't look old like used, but like the design, the art was from like 1850. Do you remember, Tom? 1890.
I don't know. You said you found the photo. I don't know where.
This is the first nature photographer in ever. And he was I think he was a United States senator in the 1800s, and he would take this like huge camera around and photograph animals at night, and it had a enormous flash, so it would scare them. And so these pictures are like mostly of animals scattering,
Scattering, wow.
It's really
so that's the deer that are
the deer on the front.
Yeah. Are they all kind of blurry? Yeah.
I mean, Kevin, we worked with our friend Kevin Gagnon, like worked on the art a lot. It is kind of blurry, but he'd worked on it a lot to make it look really great, and some kind of plug-in to make things higher res.
Yeah.
And then the back, we were just kind of like thinking about like old Motown records with like photographs on the back, and just like trying to, that was kind of like our inspiration. And the vinyl's bone colored, which we've been calling antler colored. And it's just, I don't know, it's real clean and nice.
Cool. Well, yeah, now I got to get a physical copy.
For sure.
Yeah. Yep.
What kind of cattle you got? I'm curious. My family on my mom's side had a Angus farm when I was growing up.
Really?
So I spent a lot of time on an Angus farm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. I actually don't know. I'd have to ask. I can email you. I'll ask my dad.
Okay.
There's so many. There's like 80 cows here.
Oh, wow.
And he's got so there's like a little paddock of steers that they rope, but then there's like all the big cows, and I don't know, but they're all grass fed, and it's a beautiful, beautiful place, and they're very happy cows that will eventually be someone's food.
Yeah,
nice.
They're
not going to be happy tomorrow.
They're living their best life until then. They're not. They're in a beautiful, wonderful place with a lot of fresh grass, and that's what they're eating. So it's as good as it gets, I guess, if you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't actually eat beef.
Gotcha.
But I do love it here. So
yeah.
Awesome.
Nice. All right. Is there anything else you guys want to plug, or anything else that is upcoming, especially that we can get out there for you? Show dates, anything besides the cattle castration. That is imminent tomorrow, folks. So
our show got canceled. We got to book some more. So no, there's nothing really pressing yet. Tom?
No, nothing going on over here. We're writing songs and getting a whole new set together, and
that's true.
We're ready to play whenever. We our thing was canceled at one time, but we're trying to set something up again, and so there should be stuff happening over this summer.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, that's exciting. Let us know on that.
We do have we are working on 8 more songs at the moment, so we're getting close to maybe thinking about recording again, maybe next year.
Cool.
Any kind of theme or vibe that you're going for with it, or you want to hold that for now?
I feel like it's kind of it's like the next progression on the, it definitely feels like an Antler Family record, but in some ways I think that it might be a little bit heavier. We've kind of been looking at song structure and trying to tweak that a little bit, make them a little bit longer, and also just maybe slightly less expected, what the expected thing to do, and kind of just change it up a little bit. But it all fits. It fits and feels like the next thing, Whereas I kind of felt like we kind of blindly led ourselves through writing the last one. This one feels like much more intentional.
Well, it's building that relationship and getting more comfortable and feeling you're knowing more what you're doing, I think, with someone.
Definitely. I don't know. I'm excited about it. I can't wait to play these songs. So I think it's gonna be really fun.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely have to catch it streaming anyway. But we'd love to have you come to Missouri.
Yeah, we'd come to the Midwest.
I
There
know.
would be people.
It's far.
We'll get a few people to come out anyway.
We'd love to. We'd love to come to Missouri. That sounds like fun.
we got places you can stay too. We both have pretty big houses now, so we got spare rooms.
Great.
That'll save you that hotel.
We have lots of cows.
Yeah, tons of cows. All the cows you can castrate.
I'm just gonna castrate cows and just have a grand old time.
And not eat, but
yeah, I just
that's okay. But I'm sure, people love to have you castrate them.
we'll do it at the merch table,
Right. Extra $5 and you get a sticker. Oh goodness. All right. Well, we don't want to keep you on all night. But ladies and gentlemen, please get this record from Antler Family. Mia, Tom, thanks so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Great time.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And come on back, anytime.
Yeah, anytime. You got something going on, tell us. Or if you don't, you just want to tell weird stories. We like that.
Yeah, sometimes we just bullshit and tell ghost stories. So, yeah.
We'd love to. We'd love to come back.
All right.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening and tuning in to Undetermined the podcast. Special guest, Antler Family. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.